Hello, my name is Azeb I am one of the co-hosts of the Freitas Effect podcast. Welcome to Conversations with Creatives. These episodes are brought to you in collaboration with Entropy Theater for Entropy Fest, themed Emergence. Entropy Fest is a celebration of local emerging artists in the New England area, and the Freitas Effect is serving as MCs on the weekends of May 20th through the 22nd and May 27th through the 29th. Ticket information is available in all of our social medias, as well as Entropy social media platforms, and in the description of these episodes. Here with me today, I have TJ Reynolds, who I'm going to let introduce himself. Take it away.
Hello, I'm TJ Reynolds. I am an artist, musician, and art teacher in Arlington, Massachusetts. I teach in Cambridge, and I'm originally from the Midwest.
Cool. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, TJ, my first question for you, well, actually, I have other questions for you. Is your artist name the same as your normal human name?
Well, a little bit different. I teach under professionally. I just use my name, Anthony Reynolds, but TJ is kind of how I've always been known all my life by my friends. So I keep that as my artist name.
Awesome. Cool.
It's like a false wall of separation.
Got you. Yeah. It's like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce.
Right. Exactly. I'm not sure which is which. Sometimes Sasha Fierce needs to show up to the kindergarten class.
Yes, definitely. I love it. So, my first question is, when did you identify as an artist, even if you don't identify as an artist?
I think I don't remember a time not identifying as an artist, I just think it's something that I always held on to when and other people might have let go of.
Cool. Do you remember when you were first introduced to art or creative stuff?
I think it's really like a first language that we're taught, we learn to draw before we learn to write. It's the first way we express ourselves with tools on paper. So I think it's just really natural. I think what happens is people start to feel like they have to be they have to create something that fits into certain parameters or looks like other things to call themselves artists, and so people stop label themselves as artists rather than they gain that label. So that's kind of a reason I became an elementary art teacher, because I feel like at that age is when you can instill into kids that they are artists, and just because they create, and that's as simple as it is.
So what's your main platform, or what's your medium?
Lately, I've been doing a lot of drawing in a series I've kind of titled "We Catch the Light." For the last few years is pictures of people of African descent on black surfaces drawn with white paint and paint marker. So I'm kind of drawing the light instead of drawing the shadow. So I've been having fun exploring that style.
That's beautiful. I've been thinking a lot about that, when I watch TV shows with people who are usually darker skinned, and I'm always kind of very critical of how they're being captured. So that just because lighting is not always great in terms of being able to see the beauty of blackness. And so I think that's cool that you're doing something like that, but inverse and more focused on just how the light is capturing blackness. That's dope.
Yeah, and there's a beauty about the way that light sits on melanated skin, that the style doesn't work without it as well. There's something about it that it just holds that light in that way. And yeah, to be able to depict African features but with only white, is kind of a fun challenge to me,
Right.
to be able to kind of create grays, but kind of just with the illusion of it, So, yeah.
So you draw, but for Entropy Fest, you're doing music?
Yeah, I'm doing hip hop for Entropy
Fest. Yeah. Okay. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, this is I'm branching out, trying something a little bit different, but it's using a lot of skills that I've used before. So I've done a lot of like improv, done a lot of freestyle things. I've paid my dues in battles back in the day and all that kind of stuff. And but what this is going to be is basically a entire freestyle performance, but interactive and based on kind of audience interaction and suggestions and games and things like that. So I'm going to be kind of talking to the audience, creating music kind of in the moment too with a looper, bringing in some different musical and lyrical guests to help me out and create a little like moment with the people there in the theater. So that's the idea of what's happening.
Exciting. So everything that's going to be happening is going to be a live raw experience.
Yeah.
I
So
love it. And I love that there's going to be like, we are a part of it also.
Yeah, so there'll be some like where I'm just like I'll ask a few people, kind of what they do, and then put all weave it all together into a freestyle song. There'll be another thing where people can text in suggestions, and it will be broadcast on a screen, and I'll have to create those.
Okay.
So yeah, just kind of stuff I've been thinking about wanting to do for a long time. So
that's really
and
cool.
stuff I've done in various degrees, but never like put it all together and had it be its own thing.
So how did you get into like hip hop and music?
I think it just kind of found me really. I really only defined myself by visual art, I think, until after I graduated high school, and then kind of like found me like I needed to be louder, I think, for a while. But I know the first rap I ever wrote was my "Say No to Drugs" rap in middle school, and then and then after that, it was just all like freestyles. I'd freestyle at parties and things like that with people, but I never really took it seriously until after high school, and just kind of found the community of hip hop creators, and I think it's a really open, welcoming, participatory community. Kind of the same thing with that I found. In like improv and in comedy, kind of this really supportive creative community where part of it is teaching people and continuing on the legacy and building the scene in that way.
So you said you grew up in the Midwest, or you're from there originally?
Yeah, I grew up in Indianapolis.
Oh, snap. So how did you find your way to Boston?
Through school. School brought me out here, and ended up having some roots. So here I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
So when you were describing your act, I don't know if you know him, but do you know Reggie Watts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It like
Yeah.
sounded very similar, but I love that because I love him and he's great. So I'm sure that you're gonna like top that.
Put the pressure on. Well, something I love about like, being in the moment and improvising music and using loopers in that way, it's an instrument, like any other instrument. So, somebody playing the guitar might sound totally different and create completely different music than somebody else on the guitar, and especially with a looper where it's just like layers of you, so it becomes even more kind of like your own voice, literally and figuratively, that builds up and to create music in that moment. So and that's something I've really enjoyed. I think moving out here and kind of like leaving the music scene that I was part of in Indianapolis, I didn't know a lot of musicians, so I started performing with a looper, and that kind of built up. I was able to go out, play shows, do open mics, meet people, meet musicians, and then start collaborating more like that. So
I'm glad that you found your grounding, and I hope that like this experience like continues to give you more like opportunities and access to folks. I wanted to ask you questions about just kind of like your training and like how you've educated yourself on your craft. Did you say you went to school for art?
I went to school for art, yeah. So I did visual art and education. So that's kind of where my formal schooling is. And I think with music, it's a lot more of informal. it's creating with people, it's collaborating and putting out albums and putting on festivals and shows. And definitely I feel like got those 10,000 hours in, even going back, like, kind of in the battle scene, and I feel like I am like kind of a little walking target. So like surviving like the battles and being able to thrive in the battles made freestyling kind of anywhere else a piece of cake. So.
Do you have a favorite rapper?
It kind of jumps around. I would say right now I've been probably Common.
Yeah, because I know that's a hard question, because it's like
Yeah.
favorite of all time, favorite right now.
Yeah.
And then like, cool. Do you feel like Common because you affiliate with his like style, or he inspires you in some way?
Yeah, I think most inspiring is the way that he is willing to experiment with the sound, collaborate with different people, and take it to different places in that way.
Dope.
Yeah.
I have so many informal questions I want to ask you. Like, have you been watching the Kanye documentary? But I'm also like,
yes. Oh my God, so good. It's amazing. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't know if our fans are Kanye fans, but I am. Sorry.
And it's the old Kanye anyway, so
Yeah, exactly. You never know. It could be any version of him, but I'm different when it comes to. I love to ask that question though.
I mean, yeah, he's a person that inspires me from the aspect of like being a musician, approaching hip hop as a songwriter, like not just as a lyricist, like thinking about the music, thinking about the way it all comes together, like that's something I've always enjoyed, and not being afraid to like branch out musically and let something get kind of lush, like that's fun.
Oh my gosh, I don't want this interview to turn into like me debriefing the whole documentary. So, but yes. Well, it sounds like you're kind of already intertwining levels of different types of art with what you're going to be doing at the show, with just like rap and comedy and improv. Have you ever considered experimenting with your visual pieces to be a part of that somehow?
I do want to find more ways that my visual art can kind of intertwine. I think for me, it's kind of like the advantage is more like in the internet and being able to put visuals with my music in that kind of way. Being able to package my own stuff, being able to create my own artwork for things. Maybe there's a way to intertwine the art and the music in some way. And I have to still find that.
Have you ever considered like working with other artists of different mediums when performing, or have you not gotten there yet? Or I don't know, is that something?
Yeah, I'm down. I love collaborating, because it just brings something out different than either person would have done. So I've worked with different, like I've done things with costuming and things before, with different visual artists. So it's always something I'm looking to do. So right now, I think as COVID is kind of ending, and I feel like there's a great thaw going on of people being separated and artists not being able to put on shows and stuff. It's like time to start. It's time to put a band together. It's time to it's time to find all those ways to collaborate and start creating that movement.
Is there anything that you're working on right now that you're like, that'll probably be available to the public by the time the festival happens?
Well, this year I'm putting out an album with my sister, so it's kind of like R&B hip hop kind of a thing. She's a real dope singer, and we're putting out a mixtape of our previous collaborations. So we have like a ton of stuff we've already done together, but this is our first like official joint album. So hopefully that mixtape will be coming pretty soon. Might be April. So
Do you guys have a title for it?
No, not yet. We don't know yet.
And so do you know where you would be releasing it?
I mean, it would definitely be available on my website, and hopefully, just like wherever people stream their stuff.
So that goes into my next question of where can we find your work and how can people support you?
Yeah. Well, you can find me on Instagram at TJ Reynolds Art, and you can find kind of all my links and everything that I'm doing on my website, which is tjreynolds.net.
Sweet. How do you spell Reynolds?
Reynolds.
Amazing. Okay, sweet. So TJ Reynolds Art and tjreynolds.net.
.net. Find me on the internet at .net.
Got him. All right, sweet. And then my last question is, what advice do you have for emerging artists?
For emerging artists, I would just say to like just keep creating, just keep working because your next thing is your best thing. Work on it, share it with people. Take the feedback that you want to, leave the feedback that you don't, but just keep creating and finding community through your art because that's what's going to sustain you.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, TJ. Beautiful words
Yeah.
are among us, floating in the air and in the ears of our listeners. It's been a pleasure having you. And everybody who's listening, we are excited to see you at Entropy Fest. Come through so you can be a part of this experience with us and TJ and everybody else. All right, y'all.
Awesome.
Bye.